There's a war happening every single day, and you're the battlefield. It's not about weapons or enemies, it's about choices. Every morning you wake up with a chance to win or lose, not against someone else, but against your excuses, your comfort, your distractions. World will sell you quick fixes, dopamine hits, soft comfort zones dressed up as success. But real success, it has a price, and that price is discipline. This is not a book for the weak. It's not for those waiting on motivation to knock at their door. This is for the few who understand you don't rise when it's easy, you rise when it's hard, and you do it anyway. This is the discipline code, and once you live by it, you never go back. Chapter Enemy is the enemy, 6 to 50 words. Comfort feels good. It's warm, familiar, and safe. But comfort is also a liar. It whispers that you've done enough, that you've earned a break, that tomorrow is always there. And that's how it traps you. Because while comfort is wrapping you in soft blankets of delay, your dreams are quietly dying in the cold. Every successful person you admire, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, or a leader, understood one truth early on: what you want most is hidden behind what you least want to do. Growth doesn't come wrapped in ease. It comes wrapped in struggle, sweat, and choices that most people run from. Every day you wake up, you're faced with two paths. One is paved with ease. Hit the snooze button, scroll your phone, skip the gym, eat whatever's fast. The other path, it's narrow, it's steep. It asks you to show up, to push when you don't feel like it, to say no when your body screams yes to temptation. The first path, it feels good now but costs you later. The second path feels hard now but gives you everything later. That second path is discipline. And comfort will do everything it can to make you choose the first one. Because comfort doesn't care about your goals. Comfort only cares about now. The truth is, most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they want to stay comfortable. They want a big life without big sacrifice. They want muscles without pain, wealth without risk, peace without structure. But life doesn't work like that. You can't cheat the process. You can't plant nothing and expect a harvest. There is a cost. And that cost is paid in daily decisions. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you rob your future. You steal from the version of you who could have been stronger, wiser, more resilient. You make yourself smaller in exchange for temporary ease. And it's never worth it. Think about the last time you pushed through something hard, really hard. Maybe it was waking up early to study. Maybe it was finishing a workout when your body begged you to stop. Maybe it was saying no to a toxic habit you've leaned on for years. How did you feel afterward? Proud, energized, alive. That's not coincidence. That's proof that your mind and soul are built for growth, comfort. And every time you stretch yourself, even by 1%, you build a new layer of self-respect. You become someone you can count on, and in this world that's power. Discipline is not just about achieving external goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who keeps promises to yourself. Because once you start keeping those internal promises, your confidence changes. You don't need applause. You don't need people to believe in you. You believe in yourself. And that belief isn't built in the spotlight. It's built when you wake up early while everyone's asleep. It's built when you show up to the gym after a long day. It's built when you write one more page, make one more call, take one more cold shower. Not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That's the real you. And that version doesn't live in comfort. The world has enough people who are soft, addicted to convenience, and allergic to effort. What it needs are more people who are willing to trade short-term pleasure for long-term greatness. People who are ready to sacrifice now for what matters most. Because the truth is, comfort zones don't keep your life safe. They keep your life small. And if you're okay with living small, if you're okay with the bare minimum, then stay comfortable. But if you're reading this, you're not that person. Deep down, you know there's more. And you're right. But to reach it, you have to walk through discomfort. That's the entry fee. That's the toll gate to greatness. And that's the code. Chapter 2. Discipline vs. Motivation. Motivation is a great feeling, but it's unreliable. One day you're fired up, ready to take on the world, and the next, must you feel like staying in bed, skipping your workout, or pushing your goals to tomorrow. That's the nature of motivation. It comes and goes like the weather. If your success depends on how motivated you feel, you'll never build anything that lasts. Because real change, real progress, real transformation, these things don't happen in the high-energy moments. They happen when you show up even when you don't feel like it. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is the engine that keeps going when the mood disappears. It's the difference between those who dabble and those who dominate. Most people wait. They wait for the right time, the perfect alignment of energy, mood, and inspiration. But while they're waiting, someone else is working. Someone else is writing the book, running the laps, making the calls. That someone else understands that discipline doesn't wait for feelings. It acts regardless of them. And that's the edge. The people who win in life don't have more motivation. They've just built more discipline. They've trained their minds to do what needs to be done, especially when they don't want to do it. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs rely on emotion. Professionals rely on structure. Think of motivation like a spark. It can ignite action. But if there's no fuel, no system to keep the fire burning, it dies out. That's why you can go to a powerful seminar, feel amazing, and then do nothing different a week later. Because the emotion fades. If you take that spark and pair it with discipline, daily habits, routines, non-negotiable standards, you build a fire that keeps burning. You become consistent, and consistency beats intensity every time. Doing something hard once when you're pumped up means nothing if you can't repeat it when it's boring. Discipline is what keeps the promise you made to yourself long after the feeling that made it has disappeared. It's the voice that says, "Get up," when the bed feels warm. It's the hand that closes the app and opens the book. It's the foot that steps into the gym after a long day at work. It doesn't care about your mood. It cares about your mission. Motivation might inspire you to start, but discipline is what ensures you finish. That's why people who rely solely on motivation bounce between plans, burn out, and blame external things for their lack of progress. They say things like, "I'm just not feeling it," or "I lost my spark." What they're really saying is, "I never built the habits to push through." Building discipline doesn't happen overnight. It starts with one decision, one moment when you say, "I'm doing it anyway." You don't wait to feel ready. You take action, and then your brain catches up. Over time, those small acts of follow-through stack up. You begin to see yourself differently. You become someone who shows up no matter what. And once you become that person, everything changes. You no longer need to hype yourself up. You trust yourself. You know that even on your worst days, you'll get the job done. That quiet confidence is worth more than any temporary burst of excitement. People who master discipline live life on their terms. They don't get thrown off course every time their emotions shift. They've built systems. They've trained their minds. They know that excellence isn't built on how you feel, but on what you do. They stop chasing highs and start building foundations. And that mindset, doing the right thing even when it's the hard thing, that's where all the real success comes from. Motivation fades. Discipline endures. One gives you a push, the other builds a life. Choose wisely. Chapter 3, The 5 a.m. Rule and why. It's not about the time. Waking up at 5 a.m. isn't magic. It doesn't make you rich, smart, or strong just because the clock says so. What makes it powerful is what it represents. It represents a mindset. It's about choosing to lead your life instead of reacting to it. It's not about the time on the clock. It's about the message you send to yourself the moment you rise before the world does. You're saying, I'm in control. You're saying, I'm willing to sacrifice comfort to become who I'm meant to be. And that declaration, repeated daily, begins to rewire the way you think, the way you act, and ultimate act, and the way you live. There's a reason the most disciplined people on the planet, from athletes to CEOs to special forces, wake up early. It's not because they're obsessed with time. It's because they're obsessed with ownership. The early hours are quiet, focused, uninterrupted. They're yours. There's no noise, no distractions, no obligations pulling at you. It's just you and your choices. And when you start your day on your terms, before texts, before headlines, before other people's demands, you set the tone. You're not reacting, you're leading. That single shift from reactivity to intentionality creates massive momentum. It's in those early moments that the work gets done that others never see. The workouts when it's still dark. The journaling, quiet reading, the goal setting, the planning. These aren't glamorous tasks. They don't get likes or applause. But they're the bricks that build the life most people only dream about. People often say they don't have time. But time isn't found, it's created, and the early hours are proof of that. When you wake up early, you carve out space that no one else can steal from you. That space becomes your edge. This doesn't mean that success is only reserved for early risers. It means that if you're serious about creating change, you need to own some part of your day with discipline and zero excuses. For many, that's the morning. Not because it's easy, because it's hard. And that's the whole point. Waking up at 5 a.m. is a daily contagion with resistance. Your bed will feel good. Your excuses will sound convincing. But when you get up anyway, you win. And that win creates a ripple effect. Suddenly, you've already overcome the first challenge of the day. Everything after that feels possible. You move from being a person who waits for the day to happen to someone who shapes it. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. Some mornings you'll be tired. Some mornings your mind will fight you. But every time you rise when you don't want to, you build a piece of mental armor. You prove to yourself that you're not a prisoner of your feelings. You're the commander of your life. And that belief compounds. It shows up in how you handle stress, in how you speak, in how you work. You carry yourself differently when you know you've already conquered something difficult before sunrise. Start small. If 5 a.m. feels impossible, begin with 6 a.m., or just wake up 30 minutes earlier than usual and use that time for yourself. Don't jump into emails. Don't check social media. Use that time to train your mind, strengthen your body, or plan your mission. Most, give your dreams the attention they deserve before the world demands your attention. The goal isn't to be an early riser for bragging rights. The goal is to become someone who shows up with purpose, clarity, and discipline. The time on the clock doesn't matter. What matters is that you own your morning before the world owns you. When you claim those early hours, you begin to live by design, not by default, and that's where transformation begins. Chapter 4: Your environment's lying to you. You become what surrounds you. That's a hard truth many ignore, because it's easier to believe we're in full control of our lives no matter the environment. But discipline doesn't thrive in chaos. It doesn't grow where there's constant temptation, noise, and distraction. Your environment is either pulling you forward or holding you back, and most of the time, it's doing the latter without you even realizing it. The people you hang around, the apps on your phone, the food in your kitchen, the layout of your workspace, all of these are shaping your actions, your thoughts, and ultimately your future. It's easy to blame lack of discipline on laziness or lack of motivation, but many times the real culprit is proximity. You can't expect to stay sober with a fridge full of beer. You can't expect to get in shape when your house is stocked with processed food. You can't expect to build a business if every time you sit down to work, you're surrounded by notifications, clutter, or people who don't believe in what you're doing. Your environment is louder than your intentions. It speaks to you constantly, pushing you toward old habits or pulling you into new ones. Look at your phone. Every app, every notification, every shortcut is a decision waiting to happen. Will you scroll or will you build? Will you consume or will you create? Your phone is either your most powerful tool or your biggest trap. It's not about throwing it away, it's about mastering it. Rearrange it, delete the toxic apps, move the useful ones to the front, create digital space for focused work. Because if the first thing you see every morning is chaos, your day will reflect it. Now look at the people you spend time with. You don't rise above your circle, you reflect it. If you're surrounded by people who skip workouts, mock ambition, spend money carelessly, or make excuses, you'll eventually do the same. Not because you're weak, but because we're wired to fit in. If no one around you is chasing excellence, it becomes harder for you to keep chasing it alone. But when you put yourself in rooms where growth is normal, effort is respected, and standards are high, something inside you shifts. You want to keep up. You want to level up. That's the power of aligned community. Examine your physical space too. Is your room clean or cluttered? Is your desk inspiring or suffocating? These small things matter. Clutter is a mental weight. Most disorder creates friction. And discipline dies where there's friction. You want your environment to support your habits, not challenge them. If you want to write every morning, have your journal or laptop ready the night before. If you want to work out, have your gym clothes laid out. Remove the need to decide. Remove the chance to negotiate. Design your space so that taking action feels like the default, not the exception. Even your emotional environment matters. If you're constantly pouring energy into draining relationships, arguing with people who don't get you, or chasing validation from the wrong crowd, you're wasting precious energy that could be used for your goals. Guard your energy like your dreams depend on it. Because they do. And that might mean walking away from some people, turning off some distractions, or saying no to things that used to define you. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. The truth is, willpower is limited. But when you build a system around you that makes discipline easier, you don't have to rely on willpower all the time. You make the path to success smoother. You don't just hope you'll do the right thing. You set your life up so the right thing is the easy thing. That's how winners are built. They don't just push harder, they build smarter. They design their world to reflect the person they want to become. And then, they step into that world every single day, Chapter 5. Build the discipline muscle. Discipline isn't something you're born with or without. It's not a genetic gift reserved for elite athletes or special forces. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it can be trained, built, and strengthened over time. The problem is most people never train it. They think discipline is supposed to just show up one day like motivation. But it doesn't. It grows with reps, small daily acts of self-control, consistency, and commitment that stack up into something powerful. You don't build discipline by waiting for the perfect time or perfect conditions. You build it by doing one hard thing when it's inconvenient and doing it again tomorrow. Start small. That's where most people mess up. They try to flip their entire life overnight. They go from eating junk to a perfect meal plan, from sleeping in to waking up at 4 a.m., from never working out to training 7 days a week. And within a few days they crash, because the discipline muscle wasn't ready. Just like you wouldn't try to lift 300 pounds your first day at the gym, you shouldn't expect to master extreme routines right away. You need foundational reps. Small, consistent challenges that teach your brain, I do what I say I'll do. Maybe it starts with making your bed as soon as you wake up, not because it changes the world, because it tells your brain, I follow through. Then maybe it's taking a cold shower for 30 seconds. It's uncomfortable, but it builds grit. Then it's choosing water instead of soda, reading 10 pages instead of scrolling Instagram, doing 20 push-ups before bed. These aren't massive achievements, but they're discipline reps. Every time you follow through on something hard, you reinforce the identity of someone who follows through, and identity beats motivation every time. Over time, these small wins build momentum, and that momentum compounds. You go from doing 10 push-ups to running a mile, from waking up 30 minutes early to waking up 2 hours earlier and owning your morning, from resisting one junk meal to sticking to a clean diet for 30 days. The same way lifting weights gradually builds strength, doing uncomfortable things consistently builds mental toughness. It becomes easier not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. The resistance doesn't go away. You just become the kind of person who doesn't flinch when it shows up. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means consistency. You're not always going to feel like doing the hard thing. That's normal. But you don't need to feel like it. You just need to do it. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. Successful people feel the same resistance, the same laziness, the same fear, but they act anyway. They've trained their discipline muscle so many times that the action becomes the default. The longer you train it, the less you rely on willpower, and the more you rely on systems, habits, and standards. There will be days when you mess up. You'll skip a rep. You'll eat the wrong thing. You'll waste time. That doesn't make you weak. What matters is what you do next. Weak discipline gives up after failure. Strong discipline gets back on track immediately. One mistake doesn't kill your progress. Quitting does. Every rep counts, even the one you bounce back from. The key is to stay in motion, stay in the fight, keep showing up. Especially when you don't feel like it. You don't need to master your whole life today. Just master the next rep. Do the next right thing. One hard choice, one disciplined action, then another. That's how it's built. That's how you rewire your brain and reshape your life. Discipline isn't a single decision. It's a lifestyle, and every day you train it, you get one step closer to becoming the kind of person others admire. But more importantly, the kind of person you admire when you look in the mirror. Chapter 60. Stop negotiating with your mind. Your mind is a master negotiator. It will give you 1,000 reasons why you can skip the workout, why 5 more minutes of sleep won't hurt, why today's not the right day to start. It knows your weaknesses. It knows your triggers. It knows just how to talk you out of the hard things and into the easy ones. That voice in your head sounds reasonable, even comforting, but make no mistake, it's the enemy of your progress. Every time you listen to it, every time you allow a debate to start, you lose time, most energy and momentum. You don't need to negotiate with your mind. You need to command it. Discipline starts when the negotiation ends. There is no decision to be made in the moment. You made the decision the night before, the week before, the month before. When you committed to the standard, you already decided you were going to wake up early, hit the gym, eat clean. Build the business, read the book, have the hard conversation. The moment the alarm goes off or the fear creeps in is not the time for a discussion. It's time for execution. The more you allow space for negotiation, the more power you give to the part of your mind that wants to keep you average. Your brain wants comfort. That's its default setting. It's wired for survival, not greatness. It wants you to conserve energy, avoid risk, and stay safe. That's useful in a life or death situation, but in everyday life that wiring becomes a trap. It convinces you that discomfort is danger. But the truth is, discomfort is your doorway. It's the path to everything you want. And if you keep negotiating with your mind, you'll stay trapped in the same patterns, chasing the same goals but never reaching them, always justifying your delay with clever excuses. The solution is brutal simplicity. Act before you think. Move before your brain has a chance to convince you otherwise. When the alarm rings, stand up immediately. When the moment to speak up arrives, speak. When the idea hits you to write, record, create, act on it. Don't give yourself a countdown. Don't open the floor for discussion. Treat it like a command, because it is. When you adopt this no negotiation mindset, your actions begin to reflect power instead of hesitation. You move through your day with clarity and confidence, because you've stopped letting emotions hijack your decisions. The most disciplined people in the world are not immune to resistance. They just don't entertain it. They don't pause to wonder if they feel like showing up. They don't measure their willingness before taking the first step. They don't give that voice in their head room to speak. They understand that the longer you wait, the louder the excuses get. Momentum dies in hesitation, but action silences the noise. When you move, if it's sloppy or slow, your mind realigns. It shifts from resistance to compliance. Your body starts to follow, your energy picks up, and suddenly, the task doesn't feel so heavy anymore. But that only happens if you move first. You can't win this battle with logic or emotion. You win it with action. You develop a rule for yourself: no negotiation. It becomes a part of your identity, not a motivational trick, not a temporary push. A code. Something as serious as a soldier following orders. You begin to understand that you are not your thoughts. You are what you do despite your thoughts. The moment you stop negotiating, you stop drifting, you stop stalling, you become decisive. And decisiveness is the foundation of momentum. Every time you remove choice in the moment and replace it with execution, you gain a little more control over your life. You build a system where decisions aren't open for debate. They're already made. You show yourself that you can be trusted to lead your own life. That trust turns into self-respect. That self-respect turns into confidence. And confidence, when rooted in discipline, becomes unstoppable. Chapter 7. Pain is your compass. Pain is not the enemy. In fact, pain is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever have in building discipline and achieving real growth. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding pain, numbing it, escaping it, or distracting themselves from it. But pain always has a message. It's a signal, a teacher, a compass. It shows you exactly where you need to go next. If something scares you, if it makes you uncomfortable, if it causes resistance deep inside you, that's usually the direction you need to move in. Because that's where growth lies. We've been sold the idea that life should be comfortable, that success should come with ease, that fulfillment should feel good, but nothing meaningful has ever been built without pain, not a strong body, not a powerful mind, not a lasting legacy. The gym hurts, the truth stings, growth is uncomfortable, but all of it points toward something better. Pain exposes your weak spots. It shows you what needs work. And the moment you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as feedback, your entire mindset changes. There are two kinds of pain in life. The pain that builds you and the pain that breaks you. One is chosen, the other is ignored. The pain you choose, like waking up early, running when your legs are tired, saying no to the things that used to control you. That pain builds mental armor. It stretches your capacity. It transforms you from someone who reacts to someone who responds. It gives you power. The pain you avoid, regret, guilt, shame, disappointment, those things fester. They don't go away. They wait, and eventually they show up stronger. Avoiding pain now only guarantees greater pain later. When you lean into the hard things, you find your edges. You discover who you are when things aren't easy. That's where real character is forged. You learn what you're capable of, not in comfort, but in struggle. You learn how far you can go, not when everything is aligned, but when everything is falling apart, and you choose to keep going. That's discipline. That's the edge that separates those who grow from those who plateau. The pain is never wasted. It carves out space for new strength. Look at anyone who's achieved something great, and behind the scenes you'll find pain. Loss, rejection, long nights, sacrifices, doubts, and failure. They didn't avoid it, they walked through it. They bled for what they built. They were willing to be uncomfortable longer than anyone else. That's what it takes. Pain teaches you patience. It teaches you to focus on what matters. It strips away the unnecessary. When you're in pain, your vision gets clearer. You stop chasing shallow rewards and start pursuing deeper purpose. Discipline demands that you get comfortable with pain, not because you love suffering, but because you love what's on the other side of it. And every time you choose to confront pain instead of escape it, you get stronger. You develop resilience. You prove to yourself that you are not fragile, that you can endure, that you can bend without breaking. That self-belief becomes a weapon. It becomes your advantage when others quit, when others fold, when others look for the easy exit. The next time something feels hard, ask yourself, what is this pain trying to show me? Maybe it's telling you you've outgrown your current environment. Maybe it's showing you where your discipline is lacking. Maybe it's asking you to evolve. The discomfort is never random. It's a signal. It's your invitation to level up. Most people ignore it. The disciplined use it. They feel it, study it, face it, and transform because of it. Pain will always be part of the process. But you get to decide what kind of pain you'll live with. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One leads to power. The other leads to resentment. Use the pain. Let it point you toward the work that matters. Let it sharpen you, strengthen you, mold you into something unbreakable. Let it become the compass that keeps you walking the path when others turn back. Chapter 80. Your word is a weapon. What you say to yourself in silence carries more weight than anything you'll ever post online or say out loud. Your word is your weapon, and it's either building your strength or silently destroying your self-trust. Most people break promises to themselves like it's nothing. They say they'll wake up early and sleep in. They say they'll eat clean and grab junk food. They say they'll go to the gym and skip it. And over time, these small broken promises pile up into something heavy. Something most don't recognize until it's already damaged them. It's called self-betrayal. And it kills confidence faster than failure ever could. When you say you're going to do something and don't follow through, you're teaching your subconscious that your word means nothing, that you can't be trusted. And if you can't trust yourself, who else will? It doesn't matter how many motivational quotes you read or how many vision boards you hang up. If your own mind knows that you don't follow through, then you'll always feel like a fraud. Because deep down, you know the truth. You know that when it mattered, you quit. You chose ease. You compromised your own standard, and it eats at you slowly, quietly, but constantly. But when you start keeping your word, everything changes. It doesn't have to be a big promise. It could be something simple, like waking up without hitting snooze, or drinking a gallon of water, or finishing that workout. What matters is that you said it, and then you did it. That alignment between your words and your actions is where true confidence begins. You start to walk differently, speak differently, even think differently. Because now, when you say you'll do something, you know it's as good as done. And that's power. Your word is a contract with yourself, not a suggestion, not a maybe, a contract. You wouldn't sign a business deal and back out whenever it gets tough. But people do it with themselves all the time. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they don't believe in their goals, why they can't stay consistent. It's not because the goal is too big. It's because their word is too weak. When you treat your word as sacred, everything else begins to shift. Your standards rise, your circle changes, your results compound. People respect those who mean what they say, but more importantly, they respect themselves. That internal respect, self-respect, is the foundation of real discipline. Without it, you'll crumble at the first sign of resistance. With it, you'll push through storms. You won't need someone to hold you accountable, because you've already taken full ownership. That's what separates the disciplined from the drifters. One group hopes to feel ready. The other group honors their word no matter how they feel. Keeping your word also simplifies life. It removes mental clutter. There's no internal debate, no back and forth. You already know what you're doing because you said you would. That clarity saves energy, sharpens focus, and strengthens commitment. You become the kind of person others can count on, but more importantly, most the kind of person you can count on. That's a rare kind of freedom, and it only comes through discipline. There will be times when your emotions try to pull you off course, when everything you wants to quit, delay, or bargain. Those are the moments where your word matters most. If you give in, you weaken your foundation. If you stand firm, even in discomfort, you reinforce your identity as someone who follows through. That identity becomes unshakable over time, and with it, your results become undeniable. Your word isn't just a tool, it's your reputation with yourself. Use it with precision. Speak with intention. And once you say you're going to do something, follow through like your future depends on it. Because it does. Every promise kept is a brick in the foundation of the life you're building. And one day, that foundation will be the thing that holds you up when the world tries to pull you down. Chapter 9. The discipline of rest. In a world that glorifies hustle and worships burnout, rest often gets misunderstood. People confuse discipline with constant motion. They think if they're not grinding 24/7, they're falling behind. But that mindset is broken. Real discipline includes rest, not as an excuse, not as laziness, but as a strategic tool for long-term performance. Just like muscles need time to recover after intense workouts, your mind and body need moments of stillness to recharge, reset, and refocus. Most pushing without rest doesn't make you unstoppable. It makes you fragile, and eventually the body or the mind will crash. Forcing rest in the form of illness, burnout, or breakdown, the disciplined don't avoid rest, they schedule it, they earn it, they protect it. Rest is not something you stumble into when you're exhausted. It's something you plan because you understand its power. There's a massive difference between intentional rest and mindless distraction. One heals, the other numbs. Binge watching for 6 hours isn't rest, it's avoidance. Scrolling endlessly isn't recovery, it's escape. True rest replenishes your energy, sharpens your mind, and prepares you to attack your goals with full power the next day. It's a tool of high performers, not a weakness of the lazy. One of the hardest parts of building discipline is learning when to pause and when to push. The culture says push through everything. The truth says know your limits and train with wisdom. Athletes don't perform every day at max capacity. They cycle through intensity and recovery. They rest to come back stronger. That's how they remain consistent over years, not just weeks. If you're constantly tired, irritable, unfocused, or emotionally drained, it's not a motivation problem. It's probably a recovery problem. You've poured out so much without filling back up. Rest looks different for everyone. For some, it's time in nature. For others, it's a tech-free evening, a long walk, or an hour reading a book. It could be 10 minutes of quiet, or a day completely off the grid. The key is presence. To truly rest, you have to disconnect from the grind, from the demands, from the pressure to always be productive. Because your worth isn't tied to your output. You are not a machine, you're a human. And disciplined humans know that rest isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The mind needs white space. That's where your best ideas come from. That's where creative breakthroughs happen. When you're constantly doing, your brain is in survival mode. Check the task, check the box. Move on. But when you rest, you allow yourself to think deeply, to reflect, to feel. And in those moments, you connect dots you didn't see before. You become more strategic, more intentional, more powerful. Rest restores your edge. Ignoring rest also kills consistency. You might be able to go hard for 10 days straight, but if you crash for the next 5, you're not disciplined. You're reckless. The people who win in life are the ones who can keep going for years, not weeks. That only happens when rest is part of the rhythm. Think of it like a professional boxer. They don't fight every day. They train, they rest. They prepare. And when it's time to show up, they deliver with precision. That's how discipline looks at scale. Boundaries are part of rest. Learning to say no. Learning to shut the laptop. Learning to stop working when the work is done. It's about control over your time, your attention, your energy. Undisciplined people can't stop. They chase productivity like an addiction. Disciplined people know how to switch gears. They know that a rested mind makes better decisions, that a rested body performs with more power, and that a rested soul carries peace, not panic. If you want to go far, don't just grind harder. Recover harder. Make rest part of the code. The exception. It's not just about how much you can do. It's about how long you can sustain it. That's real discipline. Not the sprint, not just speed, but stamina. Not just fire, but fuel. Discipline equals freedom, It sounds like a contradiction at first. How can discipline, something that feels strict, hard, and limiting, be the key to freedom? The answer lies in understanding what freedom really is. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want, but that kind of freedom often leads to chaos. It leads to debt, regret, burnout, poor health, and wasted years. Real freedom isn't the absence of structure. It's the result of mastering it. When you have discipline, you're not controlled by cravings, distractions, or other people's agendas. You move with purpose. You decide how your time, energy, and life are spent. That's real freedom. Without discipline, you're a slave to impulse. You eat what feels good, say what feels easy, skip what feels hard, and let comfort dictate your direction. In the moment, it might feel like you're free. But look closer, and you'll see a pattern. Always reacting, always catching up, always feeling stuck. Because every undisciplined choice has a cost, and that cost shows up as consequences. On the other hand, every disciplined decision, while harder up front, pays off in control, peace, and options later. That's the paradox. What feels restrictive now gives you expansion later. Take money, for example. If you're disciplined with saving, investing, and budgeting, you build financial freedom. You don't have to say yes to every paycheck or fear every bill. You have options. You can walk away from toxic jobs, take time off, or help others without draining yourself. But if you spend recklessly or avoid responsibility, you may feel free today, but you're building a prison for tomorrow. The same is true with health. Skip the gym and eat junk because it feels good now. And your body becomes a limitation instead of a tool. Stay disciplined with training, sleep, and nutrition, and you gain energy, strength, and clarity. You become harder to kill, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Freedom is also mental. Discipline helps quiet the noise in your head. When you know you're doing the work, showing up every day, keeping promises to yourself, you stop questioning your worth. You stop seeking validation. You stop wondering if you're enough. You've already proven it through action. That internal peace is priceless. Undisciplined living creates a storm of guilt, self-doubt, and confusion. Disciplined living creates calm, clarity, and confidence. You don't have to fake it, because you're living it. Discipline gives you time. When you're organized, when you follow a routine, when you show up without delay, you gain hours others waste. You're not stuck in a loop of procrastination and panic. You're free to focus, free to create, free to think long term. Most people feel like they never have enough time, but time is often lost in indecision, laziness, and distraction. Discipline recovers it. It gives you structure, and inside that structure, you find space. People fear the word discipline because they associate it with suffering. But discipline doesn't mean deprivation. It means choosing your discomfort now so you don't suffer later. It's about playing the long game, taking control back from impulses that rob you of your future. It's about living with intention instead of regret. There's a certain joy that comes from knowing you're running your life instead of it running you. That joy is the reward for discipline. At the core of every strong, fulfilled, and focused person is the same principle. They do the hard things when they need to be done, not just when they feel like it, but daily, quietly, consistently. That's what builds the kind of freedom most people chase but never catch. They keep looking for shortcuts, hacks, or motivation, when what they really need is the code, the discipline code. Once you install it in your life, everything changes. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop waiting for permission. You stop settling for average. because you understand now that freedom isn't found in avoiding hard things. Freedom is earned by mastering them. Discipline is the door and you hold the key. 1. Discipline is a skill, not a trait. One of the most transformative realizations from this book is that is not something you're born with. It's not a personality trait reserved for elite athletes, military heroes, or self-help gurus. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed, sharpened, and strengthened through consistent action. This understanding alone can change your life, because it removes the excuse that says, "I'm just not a disciplined person." No one starts out disciplined. It's earned through reps, through hard decisions made daily, through discomfort willingly embraced. What this means in practical terms is that you don't need to wait for some magical shift in identity to become a high performer. You just need to start small, stay consistent, and build upward. That could mean making your bed every morning, committing to a 10-minute walk daily, or shutting off your phone during meals. Each act of self-control, no matter how minor it seems, is a rep. Over time, those reps add up. They form neural pathways in your brain that tell your body, "This is what we do now." They establish new baselines for what's normal. This perspective also helps you treat discipline as something you can train strategically. Just like a beginner wouldn't lift 300 pounds on day 1 at the gym, you shouldn't expect to wake up at 4 a.m., hit the gym, meditate, fast, read, and build a business all at once. Start with what challenges you but doesn't break you. Let your capacity expand with time. When discipline is seen as a muscle, you stop beating yourself up for setbacks and start learning from them. You realize that failure isn't the opposite of discipline. It's part of the training process. The most disciplined people didn't get there because they never fell off. They got there because they kept coming back stronger after they did. 2. Your environment is either your ally or your enemy. Another powerful lesson is the impact of your environment, physical, digital, and social. Most people often underestimate how much their surroundings influence their behaviors. You may want to wake up early, eat clean, stay focused, and build something meaningful. But if your bedroom is cluttered, your phone is overloaded with dopamine traps, and your closest friends mock your ambitions, you're fighting an uphill battle every day. The reality is that willpower is limited, and environments shape habits faster than intentions do. Take a hard look at your physical space. Is it set up to support your goals? If your goal is to work out, are your gym clothes visible and ready? If your goal is to create content, is your workspace clean and inviting? Discipline becomes easier when your space doesn't fight your efforts. The same goes for your digital environment. If you're trying to cut screen time but your phone is cluttered with addictive apps, you're setting yourself up to lose. Restructure it. Remove the friction from good decisions and increase the friction for bad ones. Then there's your social environment, arguably the most influential of all. You become who you spend time with. That's not motivational fluff. It's neuroscience. Mirror neurons and social conditioning make sure of it. If your circle is undisciplined, excuse-prone, and complacent, you'll absorb that energy. But when you surround yourself with people who are consistent, goal-driven, and high-standard, you'll rise to meet them. Audit your circle. Protect your energy. If your environment doesn't align with your future, to change it before it changes you. 3. Freedom is the byproduct of discipline. Perhaps the most liberating idea in this book is the paradox that discipline, often seen as restriction, is the ultimate form of freedom. In the short term, discipline requires sacrifice. It asks you to delay gratification, Do hard things and choose structure over spontaneity. What you get in return is control, and control is freedom. Freedom from anxiety about the future, freedom from regret, freedom from being ruled by impulse or emotion. When you live by discipline, you are longer reacting to life. You are shaping it. This shows up in every area of life. Financial discipline leads to financial freedom. Instead of drowning in debt and stress, you build wealth and options. Physical discipline leads to health freedom. Instead of relying on medications and enduring chronic fatigue, you live with strength and energy. Emotional discipline leads to relational freedom. Instead of blowing up during conflict or falling apart under pressure, you respond with clarity and composure. Most freedom doesn't mean the absence of responsibility. It means having enough discipline in place to act on your highest values rather than your lowest urges. When you wake up early, plan your day. Train your body, eat with intention, and say no to distractions. You gain hours in your day, confidence in your voice, and clarity in your mind. You're no longer pulled around by life's chaos because you've built an internal order stronger than the external noise. Most people think they want freedom, but what they really want is the feeling that they are in control of their life. That feeling doesn't come from shortcuts or comfort. It comes from discipline. And once you understand that, everything shifts. You stop chasing hacks, you start building habits, you stop hoping, you start executing, and over time, that execution becomes your edge, your power, your identity, your code. Final reflection: the discipline code isn't a magic formula, it's a way of living, and if you live it consistently, it will change you, not just in what you do but in who you become. A person who is trusted, focused, strong, and truly free. Discipline isn't just a mindset, it's a lifestyle. To truly benefit from the lessons in the discipline code, you must bring them into your daily habits, decisions, and environments. Discipline's built in the small, ordinary moments that most people ignore. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Below are real life, practical applications that anyone from a college student to a working parent to a busy entrepreneur can implement immediately. 1. Start with a daily non-negotiable routine. One of the most effective ways to build discipline is by anchoring your day with a simple, repeatable routine. Start by choosing 2 or 3 non-negotiable actions you will complete each morning, no matter how you feel. For example, 6 a.m. Make your bed, do 10 minutes of journaling or prayer, perform 20 push-ups, or a short workout. These tasks don't have to be big. The key is consistency. Over time, these small wins set the tone for the rest of your day. They send a message to your brain: I follow through. That message becomes your identity. By doing something hard right after waking up, like a cold shower or a 5-minute meditation, you condition yourself to act in discomfort. You start your day with a victory which snowballs into other victories. 2. Most use the no negotiation rule. One of the biggest traps people fall into is debating with themselves. You set an intention the night before but wake up negotiating. Should I skip the workout? Maybe I'll do it later. Just 5 more minutes. To kill that mental chatter, apply the no negotiation rule. Here's how to practice it. Decide the night before what your morning will look like. When the alarm goes off, don't think. Just move. Remove the option of maybe. It's either yes or no. If you committed, it's yes. This can be applied to everything: gym time, healthy eating, finishing a task, or staying off your phone. Treat your word like a contract. No debate. 3. Design a discipline-friendly environment. Your environment is either reinforcing your habits or destroying them. Start small. Clean your room. A messy room fuels a messy mind. Place your running shoes by the door the night before. Remove junk food from your kitchen. Keep your phone in another room when doing focused work. Surround yourself with visuals of your goals, quotes, whiteboards, checklists. Your phone should not be the first and last thing you touch each day. Replace morning scrolling with a book. Replace late night binge watching with a wind down routine. Eliminate triggers. Make good habits easy to access and bad habits hard to reach. You are not just shaping your environment, you are letting it shape you. 4. Build discipline reps. Throughout the day, think of discipline as a mental gym. Throughout your day, you're either reinforcing your strength or feeding weakness. Build mini discipline reps into your routine. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Finish your plate without reaching for seconds. Delay a dopamine hit. Don't check your phone for the first hour. Do one extra task before you stop working for the day. To unnecessary indulgences, even when no one is watching. These micro decisions harden your mindset. They teach your brain that comfort is not the goal, integrity is. 5. Practice active recovery instead of passive rest. Rest is part of the discipline cycle, but not all rest is equal. Passive rest, like zoning out for hours, is rarely refreshing. Active rest builds energy without killing momentum. Here's how. Take a 20-minute walk without your phone. Journal your thoughts to reset your mind. Do yoga or deep breathing instead of social media scrolling. Sleep on a schedule. Don't sacrifice it for meaningless screen time. Plan your rest like you plan your work. Choose activities that recharge you and still align with your mission. 6. Stack your identity with evidence. People don't change just by setting goals. They change when they prove to themselves daily that they are different. Start telling yourself, I am disciplined. But don't stop there. Back it up with evidence. Keep a calendar of wins, where you did what you said you would do. Track workouts, completed habits, or days without quitting. Reward consistency, not perfection. The more actions you take that reflect discipline, the stronger your self-image becomes. When you start seeing yourself as someone who finishes, shows up, and pushes through, you no longer rely on motivation. You rely on identity. 7. Choose long-term pain over short-term pleasure. Every decision is a trade: pain now or pain later. This mindset helps you make better daily choices. Examples: pain now, going to the freedom later. Strong body, high energy. Pain now, saying no to spending. Freedom later. Financial independence. Pain now, waking up early. Freedom later. Controlled schedule and clarity. Before making a decision, ask yourself, what will cost me more in the long run? Often, the thing you want to avoid is the exact thing that needs to be done. Lean into it. 8. Use time blocks. For laser-focused discipline with time creates freedom in life. Don't let your schedule run you. Build it with intention. Try this: block out 90-minute sessions for deep work, no distractions. Use a timer: 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off. Set clear boundaries. No social media during focused blocks. Know what task you're doing before each time block begins. This method trains your brain to focus with intention. You'll get more done in fewer hours, and you'll stop feeling like time is slipping away. My final thought: discipline is not a single decision you make. It's hundreds of small decisions made consistently. It's waking up when you want to sleep in. It's working when your emotions say rest. It's eating clean when junk is easy. It's reading instead of scrolling, moving instead of procrastinating, and showing up when no one is watching. Bring the code into your home, your phone, your fridge, your relationships, and your daily conversations. Let it guide your responses, your routines, and your identity. Discipline applied daily isn't just a tool, It's a way of living that turns ordinary people into extraordinary forces, and that power is already within you, waiting for permission to take control. If you made it this far, you already understand something most people never will. Discipline is not a punishment, it's a gift. It's the tool that shapes average into excellence, the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be. This book wasn't just words. It was a mirror, a challenge, and a blueprint. Now the question is, what are you going to do with it? You don't need to wait until next week, next month, or next year. You don't need perfect conditions, more motivation, or anyone else's approval. You already have everything it takes, the ability to choose one disciplined action today, then another tomorrow, and another the day after that. No matter where you start, even if it's messy, especially if it's hard. The strongest people didn't begin with strength, they began with a decision. Remember this: you are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every step you take toward discipline is a step away from regret, doubt, and fear, and a step closer to freedom, focus, and fire. If this book pushed you, helped you, challenged you, or lit a spark inside, then don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. We're building a movement of people who refuse to live soft, settle early, or die with potential still inside them. Like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear the truth. And if you want to take this to the next level, if you're ready to live the discipline code every day, then grab your copy of the book. Available now. Read it, reread it, apply it, live it. This is your time. This is your standard. This is your code. Let's go.